Hi, I am Jonny John, and today I want to talk about everlasting happiness and how to create it. So how do we create this everlasting happiness? Well, I'm a practical and realistic person, so I'm not going to ask you to visualize a color and be one with the universe, because we'll know how quickly we can start being one with the universe. I'm going to give you a more practical method, a method which will take more time and effort and will take me about 7 videos to explain. Sounds good? Great. So this is the second video. In the last video we talked about the importance of creating happiness in our life. And now we're looking at the ways to create happiness. So we begin by realizing that there are 2 ways to create happiness. One is to simply do the things or depend on the thing which makes us happy. This way is so simple that most of us are already doing it. For instance, going out shopping, drinking with friends, going partying, traveling, all sorts. Now, if we make happiness this way, we'll only be creating happiness which is temporary, because we'll eventually lose interest in what we do. And also because our happiness is dependent on an object. Once that object disappears, so too does our happiness. So that is why it's temporary happiness. Now the second way to create happiness is to address our suffering states of the mind. These are the negative states of the mind, such as anger, our fears, our stress, our worries, any state of the mind which makes us unhappy. Address them and you'll create more happiness. Imagine a life with less fears. That's more happiness. Imagine a life with less stress. That's more happiness. And that happiness will stay with you because you're not dependent on an object. And you can grow it, you can refine it, you can expand it. So there's a lot of happiness to be created through addressing our suffering states of the mind. Let me share with you a personal story. So when I was young, I used to have all sorts of fears. One of them was around people. My hands would sweat, my heart would pound. I thought time would eventually solve my problems, but by the time I reached university, I was still the same, heart pounding, hands sweating. So I realized time wasn't going to be the solution to my problem. I actually had to do something. So long story short, I studied the mind from experience, and I figured out the way to address suffering, how it's created. Then I put a lot of effort into myself day in and day out. Eventually the effort paid off, and that was just one of the smallest fears I had. I had all sorts of strange fears, like going into a bus, pushing the stop button, going into a restaurant, all sorts. But one thing I realized just how much our suffering states of the mind can affect our lives, our stress, our worries, our fears of talking to people. And that is when I realized just how much happiness can be created through addressing the suffering states of the mind. So I continue to work on myself day in, day out. So that's why I made it my goal every day to be happier than the day before. And I've been reaching my goals by addressing my fears and my sufferings. So yeah, in conclusion, there are 2 ways to create happiness in life. One is through simply doing the things and depend on the thing which makes us happy. But this will create temporary happiness. Now I know that most people are satisfied with temporary happiness and that there's nothing wrong with this. It's great. It's great to travel, see the world, have your own business, meet friends. But if you want to improve the quality of life even more inside here, then you can address your suffering states of the mind as well. So you can be fulfilled both ways, outside and inside. So there you have it. Now, if you want to address the suffering states of the mind, you might be wondering how. So I'll begin talking about how to make that journey in the next video. So I'll see you then.